No one remembers exactly when the man first began to notice the mirrors. They had always been there, in hallways, shop windows, in quiet rooms where the afternoon light lingered longer than necessary. Like doors no one had thought to open. At first, the mirrors were merely peculiarities. He would pause before them briefly, the same way one pauses before a painting. The reflection was perfectly obedient. Almost. Soon he began to suspect small inconsistencies. Nothing too obvious, nothing that could be proven. Perhaps the reflection hesitated for a brief moment. Perhaps its gaze lingered where his own was no longer. Perhaps there was a man behind the glass. The man began to seek mirrors wherever he went, in elevators, in the backs of spoons, in his own eyes. Days passed, then months. The mirrors multiplied around him. Or perhaps it was only that he had begun to notice them. Everywhere he looked, another version of himself was waiting. The man began to wonder if the reflection was not his copy, but his original. After all, it possessed the same memories, the same gestures, the same silent knowledge of every movement. His friends grew concerned. The man even stopped going to work. Yet these inconveniences seemed trivial compared to the greater problem. If the reflection was real, then his world must be an echo, an illusion projected upon glass. Gradually, the man arrived at a conclusion both terrifying and inevitable. He was not observing the mirror. He was trapped within it. The slight delay, the unnatural obedience, the strange feeling that every gesture had already been decided. He began to test the theory. Sometimes he would move suddenly, hoping to surprise the reflection. Sometimes he would remain perfectly still for minutes, watching for the smallest deviation. But the man in the mirror was patient, more patient than he could ever be. The man grew thin, quiet, and distant from the world that surrounded him. He became increasingly aware of the fragile nature of glass. It occurred to him that the universe itself might resemble a mirror. Two identical worlds divided by an invisible surface, one real, one reflected, or perhaps both reflections of a third. One evening, standing before a large mirror in a dimly lit room, he placed his hand against the glass. The reflection did the same. For the first time in many years, he felt certain that the other man was doing exactly the same thing, not copying. Perhaps the barrier between them was thinner than it seemed. Perhaps both men had been trying all along to reach the same conclusion. Perhaps both men were made of glass. What happened afterward is uncertain. But the truth, like most truths involving mirrors, remains difficult to verify. For the man himself was never able to answer the question that had consumed his life. He often wondered, which of the two men finally escaped the mirror?